Hello, welcome back to a Hare over a Hill. I'm Hare, and today we are talking about another commander deck of mine, which I have loved. That I got the concept about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. When I found little Soraya. Original text is that all falcons gain +1/+1. And for 1 and a white, I get to give target falcon banding. Uh, she's been errated because Falcons no longer exist. She now gives all boards +1/+1. Yes, I'm saying board. I have difficulties with RS people, so yeah, she gives all boards +1/+1. So this is a pretty much a board tribal deck. Yes, they are all battle commanders for board tribal. But I found that I actually love this mono white, and I built this deck with Hare in mind. So yeah, you can tell me otherwise. I just absolutely love her. But yeah, let's get into the deck. I'm gonna start off with all my creatures. Um, most of the first few boards they do have additional effects, but uh, they're not worth covering really. So yeah, Glinthawk returning an artifact isn't really that important. Uh, Healer's Hawk for the lifelink, Battlefield Raptor. Most of this deck is actively just trying to get out small creatures that taunt huge. Suntail Hawk, Rustwing Falcon, Ranger's Hawk. I barely use the venture mechanic in this deck. Even Skirmisher, uh, Carrier's Hawk, Wings of the God, has melee, has been absolutely great. Hey, definitely if I can attack multiple people. Uh, Soul Catcher, maybe we'll take this out because whenever a creature with flying dies, it gets a counter. It either dies or all of my creatures die, so it barely matters. Eddie Trailhawk, getting the double energy is great. I just barely use the paying energy to jump. I occasionally do. Stalwart Avon is renowned. Avon Sunstriker. The double strike has been yes, it's a 1/1 for 3 with double strike, but in this deck it can become quite dangerous. I've just never done the Megamorph. Avon Mind Sensor, in its ability to restrict searches hasn't always been useful, but in a board tribal deck, why not include a board that helps stop searches? These two I'm somewhat including together: Dauntless Avon and Tarkrop Elite. The Dauntless Avon, whenever it attacks, I get to untap things. That has been useful. The Elite has whenever it exalts, all my creatures get exalt. Whenever it attacks, I get to exalt it, so it doesn't untap during my next untap. Uh, all my creatures get +1/+1 until end of turn. So with these two guys, I get to double attack, untap the Elite, and I get to pretty much ignore the exalting effect. Skirmisher, I get to remove it from combat if blocked. Commander Alicia, protection from creatures has been useful. Aether Swarm Rock, whenever it or another creature enters, I get an energy. Whenever it attacks, pay 2 energy to get to for the Aether Swarm to get a +1/+1 counter. Great, and tap down something, which can be great. Definitely against decks that have other flyers, because as soon as they have flyers and just gener in which most decks have the decks that have flyers, bigger flyers than me most of the time. Just like saying, tap that down has been absolutely great. Ghost Xavier, just like the Skirmisher, it can remove itself from combat if it was blocked, potentially saving it. Aven Tactician, this, I might eventually take this guy out, but when it enters the battlefield, boss to 1, which occasionally has been useful. Uh, Expedition Raptor, support 2. I get to put +1/+1 counters on 2 creatures, which has been gratefully helpful times. Wingmate Rock. If I attack, I get another 2/3. Great! And when I get 1 life for each creature I attack with. Great! It's just a good card. It was an all-stone standard. Why am I not playing it here? Celestial Gatekeeper. When it dies, I get back 2 boards. Great. Aven Brigadier. All other boards get +1/+1, and all other soldiers get +1/+1. I do play a number of board soldiers. Why am I not playing it in this deck? Uh, it uh, it highlights on the other half of this deck. Wingbrisk Raptor. Attacking creatures you control gain lifelink. Has been quite useful. And this starts with highlighting, yes, this is a ball try, but these next 2 cards highlight how I built the other half of this deck, or the theme, which is Thine Strike and Shriek Raptor. 2 mono white boards with Infect. They're probably both Phyrexians by now, but yeah. Yeah, they both have 2 power. It's like, oh, that's not gonna kill anyone fast, but this is where the other part of the deck comes in. And where I'm going to be starting with the outside of Soraya, I'm playing 2 other non-boards in this deck, which is Signapest and Mirror Entity. Signapest has pseudo flying. It doesn't actually have flying, but it can only be blocked by creatures with flying and reach, and it has Battle Cry. When it attacks, all other creatures get +1/+. Oh look, those 2 two, 2 power infecting boards now have 3 power. Then I have Mirror Entity. Uh, the big thing here is that actually I do play out the boards, but uh, I'll get to them. Uh, for X mana, I get to all my creatures become X. For X, all my creature pretty much by paying X, I can change the base power and toughness of all my creatures. As you saw, I had a lot of small creatures. In the late game, Neo Entity basically says, "Oh, look at all this free mana I have. Let's all make all my creatures 5/5s. Let's all make my creatures 10/10s." With the Thine and Shriek Raptor, uh, I can basically say, oh yeah, their base power and toughness is now their base power is 10. A strike will kill you. Um, yeah, so much of the rest of this deck is literally just anthems. I have Rally the Rink, declare creature type, bards, and all creatures I control of that creature type get +1/+1. Kathos Crusade, whenever creatures enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on all of your creatures. Great. Commander's Insignia. I can go my entire game without casting my commander, but in the early parts of the game and getting into the mid, I'm going to probably cast Soraya once or twice. So having Commander's Insignia say, hey, creature, all my creatures get +1/+1 for each time I cast my commander. Why am I not playing it? Then Always watching. All my non-token creatures get +1/+1 in vigilance. Absolutely great. Hare Triumph. Declare creature type. All creatures get that bonus, but not many boards are being played. Radiant Destiny. Declare creature type. They get +1/+1, and if I ascend, they also get vigilance. Great. On the appeal, all my white creatures get +1/+1. Glorious Anthem. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Yep, you can start seeing it. Dictate of Heliod. +2/+2. Who? Spear of the Heliod. +1/+1. And for white one, for a generic white, destroy target creature that combat damage. It can be great removal at times. Heliod, God of the Sun. Anthem out Vigilance. Yeah, a lot of my things already do Vigilance, but it's an absolutely great thing. True Conviction. All my creatures get Devil Strike and Lifelink. Absolutely wonderful. Duelist Heritage. Whenever one or more creatures attacks, I may have a target attacking creature gets Double Strike until end of turn. This can also be a great way to wheel and deal with people. Obelisk of Orb, Convoke and declare creature type. And all those creatures get +2/+2. Then we get into some of the more utility stuff, but also, like, actually, these are still anthems. Though the Immortal Sun, it is an anthem, granting all my creatures +1/+1, making all of my spells cheaper, drawing an additional card, which I'm needing in this deck, and oh yeah, oopsie daisy, or even none of your planeswalkers can activate abilities. So it's in part a utility spell, but it's also an anthem. Hall of Triumph, declare color white. All white creatures get all those creatures get +1/+1. Door of Destiny, declare creature type. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, put a charge counter uh, onto Door of Destinies. And creatures of that type get +1/+1 for each charge counter. This can get out of hand. These are the last two creatures that technically aren't boards, but they somewhat are. Metallic Mimic and Adaptive Automaton. Uh, uh, Metallic Mimic says choose a creature type when it enters the battlefield. Choose a creature type. It becomes that creature type, and all other creatures, and each of the chosen, pretty much. In this case, I choose board. Any other border that enters my battlefield gets a +1/+1 counter. An adaptive automaton. Similar thing. It's just instead of getting a counter, it anthems out, which has been useful. Now we get into some amount of tribal support. Hellthorn reduces the cost of my boards. For some of the more expensive ones, that's absolutely great. And then at the beginning of each of my upkeeps, I can potentially just say, do I have a board? Yes! I reveal it. I'm pretty much drawing two cards. Oh, it's at the beginning of upkeep. Like, is it a board? Yes, it's a board. Put it into my hand, and like, and now I'm effectively drawing two, which is absolutely great. So, how it's on is definitely as suggested for tribal decks. Vanquisher's Banner. Choose a creature type. They get +1/+1, and whenever it enters the battlefield, draw. Granted, that's still under the effect of anthems, but I'm somewhat including it in my tribal support stuff. Icon of Ancestry, choose a creature type. They get +1/+1. Another Anthem. But for this has been useful. For 3 mana, look at the top 3 cards of your library, reveal a creature card, and put it on top of the reveal a creature card of the chosen type among them, put that hand into your hand, put the rest into the bottom of your deck. Start filtering the deck. In Oz Incubator, I have some pretty expensive cards in this deck. This has been useful for mana. Then we start getting into Mana Ramp, but some of these are Ken Anthems. Gauntlet of Power, choose a creature, choose a color. All basic lands that taps for that color, adds 1 additional color, and all creatures of that color get +1/+1. Great. Similar thing with Cage Sun, but it's any land that produces that color. And granted, Gauntlet Power does it to everyone. Cage Sun only does it toward myself. But either way, it's been pretty useful. And really, the last anthem of this deck, and an actual mana vault, Heraldic Banner. Choose a color mana, white. All of my I get to tap for white then, and then creatures of your chosen color get +1/+0. So another pseudo battle cry. Then we get into some of the actual mana rocks. Paul Diamond to reduce all my white spells. Solving extra colorless mana. Marble Diamond comes into the battlefield tab. White mana, Dark Steel Ingot, Indestructible comes in with adds mana, and Nyx Lotus. I have a lot of white pips, so this can be quite useful. And most of my the rest of my spell package is just. I don't play any rats in this deck. I probably should, but half the time it's like, I wish I did, and it's like, thank God I don't. But yeah, the rest of this is Swords to Plowshares or Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile. Return to Dust, Disenchant, and Generous Gift. Generic removal, which has been absolutely wonderful in this deck. The rest of my land package is nothing of much note, though I play 19 planes, all with the same artwork from Theros. That I love Theros. Most of this is somewhat standard things you might expect. Misfair Plains allows me to get, if I control these 2 white permanents, I get to put something from my graveyard back into the bottom of the deck. Utility. Windbrisk Kites, Hideaway 4, and if I'm attacking with at least 3 creatures, which can be common, I get to get that thing out for 1 white mana. Imara, the Sky Ruin, bring back something. Nykthos, similar to Nyx Lotus. I have a lot of white pips, and I have some expensive creatures. Secluded Step, card draw, and land if need be, along with Desert of the True and Drifting Meadow. All of them are cycling cards, so it's mana if need be. Million Landscape to grab, to fix, and to thin the deck a little bit. Evolving Wilds. I realize that they really not needed, but there have been times that it's just like, yeah, grab it, thin the deck a bit. Sandstone Bridge. Enters tapped and I get to give one thing +1/+1 and vigilance until end of turn. Great. Sunfield Desert. Taps for colorless, taps for one life and tapping it, add a white. Or here's the big thing, which is a one-time anthem for 2 generic white tap and sacrifice desert, in which this is my only desert. Um, all my creatures get at +1/+1. So it's some unfair tricks. Rogue's Passage, which hasn't always been useful, but there have been times of like, oh, you have a giant thing. Oh yeah, so I can get in for free. And over time, I'm going to make this a more prominent part of the deck, but Fear of the Ruin and Titanic's Edge. It is land destruction. I'm actually wanting it to be an actual sub theme of the deck. So I'm going to get eventually put in things like Ghostly Quarter, Demolition Field. I'm probably going to put in a Crucible of Worlds at one point. Just so I have like late game is like, okay, let's start disrupting the mana bases of people. So yeah, that is my Soraya Tribe deck. It is one part tiny boards, one part anthems just to make some giant. Like, oh, I spent 1 mana to create a 6/6, a 7/8. Like, just these absolutely huge things that shouldn't be this powerful, and yet they are. And occasionally I break it out, and I love it almost every time. Though it's easy to disrupt because if I don't have a board, like if I don't have my creatures or I don't have my anthems, uh, I look pretty non-threatening. But yeah, as always, I'm a Hare over here. If you like it, and leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. See you around, folks.